Hey everyone, this is Larry. Welcome back to TodayIFeelLike.com. Today we're going to check out the iPhone 11 Pro Max. That's right, we're going to check this bad boy out. I got the midnight green version, so let's get into it. Here we go. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and jump right into the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And the first thing that you'll notice is that from the front, this phone looks exactly like the iPhone XS Max. There's really no difference from the front. It's only when you turn it around that you'll see that new camera array that's going to have a little box there, and it has 3 lenses on there now. There's also a matte finish on there. You can get it in the midnight green, which is the color I have, which is a new color. But this matte finish helps keep some of the fingerprints away, because in the past, those glass backs have been really just serious fingerprint magnets. You won't see that quite so much with this matte finish. Now, there are some other changes on here. There is the new A13 Bionic processor from Apple. They've done some other stuff under the hood, but for the most part, this phone looks exactly the same as the iPhone XS Max. All right, let's talk about some of the improvements and the upgrades of this phone. And if you have already installed iOS 13 on your older iPhone, you're going to get many of the same features. Now, some of the features that you won't get are things that are built into the hardware, and so we'll talk about those. And one of them is the camera. Now, a lot of people are talking about the rear-facing cameras that have the 3 different lenses, the telephoto lens, the regular lens, and the ultra-wide-angle lens. But one of the cameras that really was the most exciting to me that's new, and one of the main reasons why I was even interested in upgrading my iPhone this year, was because the front-facing camera actually is 4K. So if you're a vlogger or if you are someone who live streams, having 4K video on the front is really, really important. As you guys know, Apple has really lagged behind with front-facing cameras or selfie cameras for a long time. They were only 1080p, and for Macs, they've been like 720p for the longest. So to finally have a 4K camera is fantastic. But let's go outside. I'll show you guys what it actually looks like and how it looks when you're actually vlogging with it. And actually, I'll even do it inside here a little bit. I'll do it inside, and then we'll go outside and I'll show you what it looks like in daylight. All right, so here we are. I have the phone up, and you guys can see right here, this is what the front-facing camera looks like. It shoots in 4K, and as you can see, it actually looks pretty good. As long as you have enough light, like with all cell phones, then you're gonna get a pretty good image. And so this is the iPhone 11 Pro Max with the front-facing camera shooting at 24p in 4K. All right, so this is now an example of using the front-facing camera outside. I'm just holding it out in front of me and walking and using the iPhone's built-in microphone. So you get a little example of the front-facing camera quality in 4K. You get a little example of the image stabilization, and you get a little bit of an example of what the audio quality sounds like. Now, in comparison, this is the rear-facing camera, and I'm actually using the ultra-wide-angle lens, which you can do with the rear-facing camera. So yeah, there you go. There's a bit of the front-facing camera in 4K, a bit of the rear-facing camera in 4K, and right now, this rear-facing camera is actually the ultra-wide, so there you have it. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 3 lenses on the back of this camera. You have a telephoto lens, a normal lens, and then an ultra-wide-angle lens. And so you can use all of them for both photos and video. And the cool thing about it is when you use this with video, if you're zooming in or out, you get nearly flawless transitioning between each lens. So it's not perfect, but it's far better than what it used to be. But let's just go out. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I'll zoom in and out a little bit so you can see when it switches between the lenses. There's a little bit of a jump, but not much. But let's go take a look. All right, so here I am with the iPhone, and let me show you guys what this looks like when you're transitioning from the ultra wide to the regular lens to the telephoto lens. So let's jump over into the camera now, or the phone, and here we are. This is the ultra wide angle lens, and we are going to then zoom out. So we'll start to zoom, and if we go ahead, you'll see the 1 there. There's gonna be a slight click and a little bit of a color shift. And when we get to 2, we're gonna click that there, and a little bit of a click there, and there you go. So now we're into digital zoom land here, and we can scroll back down and or zoom out here, and we'll get back to our telephoto lens right here. A little bit of a click, we'll get over here to our regular lens, a little bit of a click and a color shift, and then we'll get here to our ultra wide angle lens. And there's really not much of a shift between the ultra wide angle and the regular lens, but there is definitely a color shift when you go. So you'll notice here, as we start to zoom again, we'll start to zoom. Let's see if we can get back over here, and we'll start off at ultra wide. There we go. We'll start to zoom, and as we get here to 1, you'll see color shift right there. You see that? The regular lens is much cooler, whereas the ultra wide angle lens is much warmer. All right, let me show you what the ultra wide angle and the wide angle and the telephoto lens looks like using the camera mode, because it's a little bit different. So we can see right here, we're in the photo mode and we are on the normal lens, which is the 1x. And if we zoom out and go to the 2x, or excuse me, the 0.5x, you'll see it gets much wider. Now, if we go to the 2x, boom, it zooms all the way in there. And if you notice on the sides there, it shows you what it looks like from the wider perspective. So if you want to go wider, click that, and that's where you get that perspective. And you can zoom, and from the 1x, you'll actually see that same angle there. You'll see where it's going to give you that one, it's going to give you that the perspective on either side where it's sort of grayed out, but you can get that by just zooming out, and then there you go. So that's what it looks like going from the 1x to the 2x to the ultra wide angle lens. Now there's another cool feature on here on the iPhone 11 Pro Max that's been getting a lot of hype, and it's called night mode. And I have to admit, it deserves a lot of hype. It's kind of dope, it really is. I mean, it's on by default, so if you're in a low light situation, it automatically goes into low light mode or night mode, so it shoots all of your low light photos with a longer exposure, and I believe it does some sort of focus stacking so that it puts multiple exposures together and then just smooths everything out and makes it look nice. But you can actually extend that time by putting it on a tripod. The phone seems to know if you're on a tripod or if you are handheld, and then it will adjust the speed accordingly. Now, you can turn it off, but you have to do it every single time. So if you're trying to shoot a photo that's intentionally dark, you're gonna have to drag the little timer from 3 seconds where it's at oftentimes, or 1 second, wherever it's at. You're gonna have to drag that all the way to 0 so that you can get the dark photo that you want. So every year, phone manufacturers add in a couple of parlor tricks or gimmicks to their phones, and Apple is no different. One of them this year is a similar one that Samsung has added, which is the audio zoom. So if you are filming video and you start to zoom in, it will sort of zoom in the audio along with your video, so that if you're, I don't know, if you're at your kid's recital or something, you're zooming in, hopefully you can hear it a little bit better. I don't think it's all that useful, but you know, that's me. That's because I generally record my audio separate, or I have an external mic hooked up. But if you're just going straight commando with your phone only, this could be a useful feature. Now the other sort of parlor trick is the slow feeds, and honestly, just don't get it. I mean, I get the fact that you can shoot slow motion with the front-facing camera, but generally I would think anything that you want to see front-facing, you know, you're not going to want slow motion. I mean, I guess if you're like iJustine and you have long flowing blonde hair, you can whip it around. But me, I don't have anything to whip. There's no slow motion happening right here. So, but let's go take a look at both of them anyways. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So I may not have the long locks of Justine from iJustine to do a cool slowfie, or do I? Ha ha! Let's slowfie. All right, so there we go. We were able to have some fun and see some cool slow-fi action. But now let's jump into this audio zoom. So right now I'm directly in front of the camera. I'm very, very close using the iPhone's microphone, so you can probably hear me pretty well. I'm gonna back up a bit and then I'm gonna zoom in and see if this audio zoom works the way it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and we're gonna back up here, and I'm gonna go back just a few feet, maybe to about right here, and you guys can hear that my audio is probably sounds a little bit different. Let me go ahead and start to zoom in here, and I'm just gonna zoom in a bit and see when, let's see, let's get, this is gonna be zoomed all the way in. This is like digital zoom land right here. But let me know what you guys think about the audio zoom, what you're hearing right now versus what you were hearing up close to the phone before. So again, this is using the audio zoom right now. I'm gonna zoom all the way out, and then we'll take a listen again. So this is zoomed all the way out. This is actually with the ultra wide angle camera lens right now, zoomed all the way out. And I'm actually gonna walk up close, and so you guys can get another sample of what it sounds like when you're close to the actual microphone. So let's just walk up here, and we'll be right about here, and you guys can hear what the difference is when you're close to the microphone versus using an audio zoom. So this is something else I wanted to point out about the audio zoom that I'm not a big fan of. One of the things is I haven't found a way to actually turn it off. And the other thing is, as I start to zoom in, you can hear how I sound right now, but as I start to zoom in, you'll notice that my voice starts to sound different because it's worried about zooming in the audio right along with the video. So this is about the 2x zoom right there. And if I go all the way into digital zoom land here, you'll notice that I just sound really different versus when I'm zoomed all the way out and I'm just using the regular microphone without the zoom. So we're gonna go all the way here to ultra wide, and you can hear how I sound right there. So I think it sounds best right about there. And if I start to zoom in and use that audio zoom there, it just, to me, it doesn't sound good when you're behind the camera. And oftentimes when I'm behind the camera, I like to actually zoom into stuff and show people what I'm looking at and narrate, and I don't necessarily want my audio changed when I'm doing that. All right, let's talk about the name. Apple calls this the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and they gave it the designation of Pro. Now, is this a Pro device? I'm gonna have to just say no, flat out. It is not a Pro device, and let me tell you why. There is no support for Pro apps on here, so you can't get things like Final Cut Pro, you can't get full versions of Photoshop, you can't get things like Pro Tools. There's just not the Pro app support that you need to call this a Pro device. Now, does it have great cameras? Sure. Is it a nice phone? Absolutely. But is it a professional device? I'm gonna say no. It could be, but it's not. They do have that chip in there. They keep talking about the A13 chip. They keep saying is powerful and faster than a lot of desktop processors, but they're not allowing us to take advantage of it by giving us the tools that we need to really make this a true professional device. Also, there is no file system with the iPhone right now. They've moved towards that with the iPad Pros, but there's no file system on the iPhone. So you can't just plug in a hard drive and move files off and on there. And that's something that you need to do when you're a professional. Being able to plug in a card reader and dump your memory cards, or being able to plug in a hard drive and drag and drop files and back stuff up is something that you need to do. You can't do that on an iPhone, you can't call it professional. All right, everyone, so there you have it. That is my review of the iPhone 11 Pro Max phone. And I have to say, it's a nice phone. It is great. It is, if you are coming from, say, like an iPhone 7 or older, this is a definite upgrade. You will absolutely love it. Now, if you have one of the newer iPhones, like an iPhone 10 or 10s or a 10s Max or something to that effect, I'm gonna say it's not a definite upgrade. Now, if you're a content creator and you use your phone almost exclusively for your content creation, then I'm gonna say yes, go ahead and upgrade. Those cameras really are fantastic. But if that's just a secondary feature to you, you use the camera, but it's not the most important thing, I don't think this is an upgrade for you. You can wait till the next one. But if you're coming from an older phone like a 7 or a 6 or an SE or a 5 or something, then the iPhone 11 Pro is definitely an upgrade for you. I think you guys will really enjoy it. It will be a big step up. So anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook. And I am Larry with TodayIFeelLike.com. Thanks for coming back to see me. Come back and see me soon. And until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.